Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me for this video. So in this video I'm going to tell you guys about my ethnicity. I sent in my DNA to Ancestry.com and they tested my ethnicity. Basically I just spit in a tube and then I mailed it to them. So on Ancestry.com you can order a kit and they can test your DNA using samples from all over the world, and then they see like how your DNA matches to these different areas on the earth, whatever. Anyways, I think you can kind of figure out what it means, and if you have any more questions you can just go to their website or whatever and learn more about it. It was really interesting to learn my complete ethnicity because, you know, I am basically, white, but I wanted to know like more about, my actual like heritage and stuff. And I knew some things and I actually made a video, but I think I'm going to delete that video because I got a lot of rude comments on that video and people like questioning like everything I said. And anyways, so I think I'm going to delete that video because I have now the definitive results of my ethnicity. And I actually filmed like a reaction video when I first got my results, but I looked like a complete mess in that video because I didn't plan for it or anything. I was just like, oh my gosh, I have to film a video now because I just got an email with my results. But yeah, I looked like a complete mess in that video, so I'm just going to post maybe a clip of that on my Patreon because my patrons won't judge me as much as the general population. But anyways, I like looking at least a little bit more put together in my videos. At least I'm trying to do that. Anyways, so without further ado, I'm going to tell you guys my ethnicity, and I was genuinely really surprised. Some of it I am not surprised about, some of it I am surprised about, and I think it's really interesting and it explains a lot about me, I think. Okay, so I'll start with what I'm mostly and then move on to the things that I'm really surprised about. So first of all, I am 58% of Great Britain descent, which I was surprised about. This whole time I thought that I was like mostly British and Irish and Italian, but in fact I am really not very Italian. Yeah, I didn't know I was that British, but yeah, and then I'm also 11% Irish, which is so cool. So like that's my next most prominent. Okay, and then I have some of Europe West, which would include places like France and Germany and other places, and then also European East, which is Lithuania. That's the Lithuanian. Yeah, my great-grandmother came here straight from Lithuania, and then my great-grandfather came here straight from Italy, so I thought I would have more Italy, but I have 5% of Italian. So I'm so British and Irish, and then I'm like trace amounts of so many other things that I had no clue about. I knew the Italian, even though I thought I would be more Italian just because what I look like, I thought I looked pretty Italian, but I don't know. So I have trace amounts of so many things. It's just like mind-boggling. Okay, so Western European, then Eastern European, which would be the Lithuanian, but I might have other Eastern European places that I don't know of, and then Italy, 5%, and then Finland, Northwest Russia, I had no idea about, but it makes sense because Lithuania is close to there, so there's a high possibility that there was some intermingling going on there, so that makes sense. And then also I have 4% of the Iberian Peninsula, which is Spain and Portugal, which at first I was very surprised about. I was like, what? I didn't know I was Portuguese or Spanish at all, but then that makes sense to me because my dad's family has been in Georgia for centuries, at least, yeah, has been in Georgia for centuries. So that makes sense because the Portuguese were some of the first to settle America. I don't know if my history is very good, but I know people from Spain and Portugal came over to that area, Florida, Georgia area, so that makes sense that I would have those genes as well. So that's kind of cool because I never thought about that before. And then also I had 3% from Scandinavia, which would include Sweden and Norway, which I had no idea about, but that also makes sense because they were also like the Vikings right? That's right. Yeah, Sweden and Norway, those were like the Vikings, and they were early settlers of the United States as well. So yeah, so I live in America. My mom's side, they were fairly recent immigrants to the United States, but my dad's side, their family has been in Georgia, where I live now and have lived my whole life. Coincidentally, they've been in Georgia for a really long time. I traced my ancestry back to like the early 1800s, and I know that they were here even, before that. My mom's mom, her family was from Canada, from French Canada or whatever. They were from France. And then I know like the Vikings settled Canada, so that kind of explains that. And that also explains my Western European as far as France. And then my dad also said something about Germany. This is probably so boring. I'm sorry if this is boring. But yeah, so that all makes sense. Like any country that was like an early settler of the United States or Canada, that makes sense that I would have that in my genetics. From what I've heard from my grandparents, from what I've heard my grandparents and my parents talk about, that makes total sense that I would have the Spain and Portuguese probably from my dad's side, and then the Scandinavian probably from my mom's side, because they probably settled Canada, and my mom's mom had French Canadian and Great Britain. So and then also European Jewish, I'm only 1%, so that's probably another intermingling between Lithuania and some other country in that area. So then I have some more trace regions that I was really surprised about, but also I think is really cool, and it might explain some things. So a trace region that I'm really surprised about is South Asia. I am 2% South Asian. And some people were questioning my Native American descent in my other video. People were like, oh, all white people or all Americans think they're part Native American. But I think maybe these trace regions might explain my Native American descent, because I watched a video about this, and there were other people that were like, wait a minute, I'm like part Native American, why isn't that showing up? And then the people were explaining that they don't have like DNA samples from Native Americans, they just have, or like no one is actually native to America, we've all come from other places. So I'm assuming that maybe, I don't know, I can't explain why these websites don't pick up like the Native American genes. I think they said something about, no one's native to America, everyone came from other places. My assumption is that the actual Native American DNA would be actually descended from these other places, but anyways, I don't know. But I think these two things explain my olive complexion as well, because yeah, I don't know. People were like, oh, you don't have an olive complexion, but I'm not talking about like an olive complexion, I'm talking about like an olive undertone. I don't have like fair alabaster skin. I mean, honestly, I try and stay out of the sun like as much as I can, so I do look fair, but that's like a premeditated thing of like me wearing SPF and staying out of the sun. But when I was a kid and I didn't know about skin cancer and stuff, I would get tan and I would get really, really dark. And one of my little brothers, he is very, very tan. My grandfather, when I was little, I actually thought he was black. That's just because he's Italian. But anyways, there is darker skin in my family, and when I am out in the sun, I do get very olive-y toned. My skin isn't always olive, but when I do have a tan, I have that olive tone. So anyways, I am part South Asian, which would include India and Bangladesh and Nepal and Pakistan and places like that, which was really surprising to me, but I'm sure there's some logical explanation, whether it's just like, people sailing over there to get spices. I know like people in Great Britain settled India, or I don't know. I know there's a lot of intermingling between like colonization in areas like that, but I'm 2% of that, which is crazy. Or it could be Pakistan, or it could be Nepal, or Bangladesh, I don't know. It just says South Asian. And then also I have less than 1% of Caucasus, which they have as basically the Middle East, which would be Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, Syria, Turkey, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, Georgia, Azerbaijan. I don't know. I wish it had like the exact country, but they wouldn't, because all those places are kind of like mixed together at this point. So those are the two places that I was really surprised about, but they also kind of make sense. But yeah, I think it is so interesting. My heritage is so much more diverse than I thought, especially with the South Asian and West Asian. And I think it explains why I have dark skin, also the Spain and Portuguese, and I do have some Italy, but yeah, and I don't know, I'm just so diverse. Like, I know people will be like, no, you're not diverse, you're just white, but, you know, as far as a white person, I am pretty diverse, because of the array of places that my ancestry is from in Europe, like so many different places in Europe, and also those Asian countries. So anyways, I think it's really cool that I'm like a crazy mix of so many European countries and even Asian, or, you know, West Asian, South Asian. Not Chinese or anything like that. Or it could be Chinese, I don't know. So I'm going to leave a little screenshot. I've probably already shown a bunch of screenshots, but I'll leave another screenshot at the end. I totally recommend that you guys do this. It was really fun and interesting and gave me new insight, because like this whole time I thought that I was like a large percent of Italian, because I've always like identified with being Italian American because of my grandfather. His parents came from Italy, but that I wasn't aware that my grandfather's mother was Lithuanian, but all of that is just so diluted by the British and also Irish, because I forgot to say this, but my dad, his mom is very Irish and she has red hair. I know people like got mad at me for saying the thing about red hair, but you know, there are a lot of people in Ireland that do have red hair. Yes, there are people who have brown hair. Also, my dad has brown hair. Yeah, I know, I'm fully aware that there are brunettes in Ireland. You don't have to tell me that. I'm just saying that my grandmother does have red hair. So, and my dad has a red beard. I don't know. And also my niece, she had red hair for a really long time. I think it's going to get darker, but she had red hair, and I really thought she was going to have red hair for forever, but now it's kind of like a reddish brown, which is so pretty. But anyways, I am pretty mixed. I know people think I'm not mixed because I'm not mixed with like African or like East Asian or anything like that, but I was really surprised with my diversity personally. I will leave a link below to this website where you can get your DNA test results. It was $100, but I felt like I wanted to know my ancestry before I died. Like, I'm always thinking about like how I'm gonna die and like death and stuff like that. Not always, but every once in a while I'll like get really paranoid that I'm gonna die soon, and I'm like, I don't want to die without knowing like my ancestry and stuff like that. So I got my DNA tested. Anyways, it's really interesting and cool, and I'll leave a link to that below. And it's not like an affiliate link or anything like that, it's just to like share with you guys. Alright, so if everyone's having a great month, and if you would like to subscribe to my channel, then I would really appreciate it, and you can watch more videos from me in the future. Oh yeah, and if you don't know, I also have an app, so I will also leave the information about my app below. The app is available on Apple and Android, and there is a forum on the app, which is really fun. And you can also sign up for exclusive content, and I post basically the same things I post on my Patreon, and maybe some more things, but I post like photography I take, and then also exclusive Q&A podcast, which will be just the questions that the exclusive members and patrons send me. So anyways, go check out my app and sign up for exclusive content. It's only $1.99 a month, which you know, I think it was worth it because I'll be posting stuff there every week. Oh yeah, and I also started using Snapchat a lot more. So if you guys want to follow me on Snapchat, you can also do that. And I'm SammyBunny23 on Snapchat, which is the same as my Twitter. I tweet a lot too. I really like Twitter. SammyBunny23 on Twitter and Snapchat. But yeah, I'm gonna go now. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Okay, bye!